Welcome to Passion and Profit. If you're a small business owner or solo entrepreneur, this episode is for you. It would not only help you achieve your business goals, but it will also help you enjoy the process. Let's get started.
I think consider rebranding if you are at any point when you're feeling like you're not in love with the brand, right? If you're not in love with your brand and what you're putting out to the world, people are just going to feel it. So if you are like falling out of love with your brand, you're feeling like it's kind of becoming stale and stagnant and like it isn't matching up with your competitors. It's not matching up with what's in the marketplace today. I'd say prioritize it. Prioritize updating it and changing it and evolving it. Because that is going to show your customers at the end of the day that you care about the image that you're putting out into the world.
Passion and Profit with your host, Dalmith Morales, the podcast for makers and manufacturers. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode. I'm your host, Dalmith. This podcast is created by Inventora, the all-in-one inventory system for makers and manufacturers. Today, we will chat with Priscilla Presley, co-founder of Foward Female. It is a creative agency and social club helping women build and optimize successful brands, businesses, and communities, which is everything that we need to be successful as business owners, we know. So thank you, Priscilla, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat.
Yeah, me too. So I just wanted to start just knowing a little bit about yourself. Who is Priscilla and how Foward Female was born?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I feel like there's so much that goes into that question, and probably we'd be here all day, but really, in terms of like a business owner, I am an entrepreneur. I am a creative. I'm a CEO, run companies, help other incredible women build their businesses. And, you know, my journey has been, you know, so colorful in order to get to where I am today. But I'm really, you know, so grateful for it because it's allowed me to really like learn and grow so I can help others learn and grow too. So I started with a dream of being in the television business, producing and creating really awesome stuff. And went to school for that, in Texas, came out to Los Angeles. One of my first jobs was working on an entertainment news show at Warner Brothers. And I transitioned from there, feeling like that maybe wasn't it for me, to working with incredible companies like Red Bull and Bumble and leading their marketing efforts in some of their biggest markets. And then realizing that I really wanted to do something on my own and I really wanted to build something that really inspired and helped other people. And that's kind of where, you know, conversations began with my two co-founders of Foward Female to start, you know, what we have today. But when we started, it was very, very different.
I love that. I know that you're coming from a different like area or industry, and then like bringing that to all the creative part and bringing that to businesses. I think that's really interesting and also very powerful because you can be more creative and have more choices and options to make business grow, right? So our listeners are makers and they're small business owners and they're wearing all the hats of the business. And probably they don't have like all the experience of all the areas of handling a business. And branding. And of course, we have a lot of resources and tools that help us like build a brand. But what is the best way to start building a powerful brand? What would be like the best thing to do?
Yeah, I mean, if you're really thinking about starting a brand, you know, there's definitely things that you want to consider. I always say there's a difference between just having a business, right? Something that just operates and makes money and that's great versus having a brand. A brand is something that has a personality. It has like a deep rooted purpose. It typically has a community that's, striving towards, a better world in some way with a better product or service or whatever it is that you offer. And creating something that's strong there is, is definitely effort and definitely work. But whenever you think about like going into business and understanding like what it is that you want to build is very important. If you just want the business that operates and does its thing, then that's one thing. But if you really want to build something deeper, that's where you start looking at what is the brand that I could create. And especially in today's world of consumers being inundated with so much every single day, building something that they can connect with is really important. So whenever you look at a brand is a business's personality. It's the thing that makes them, makes them unique, and makes them connect. So as you're getting started, you really have to ask yourself what that means for your business. Some questions to really look at is, what is my vision for what it is that we're building? What is the world that we want to create with the product or the service that we're offering? What's the mission or what's the purpose that you care about and that your business is going to be like driven by, and that your customers and your consumers can connect with, whatever that may be. Maybe it's making a more sustainable world. Maybe it's having more female-owned businesses in the world, which is, our mission. And whatever it may be, have a deep-rooted purpose, have values that your business stands for. So the values that align for not only you, but for your employees and for your customers at the end of the day and anybody that you might be collaborating with. Those are some of the key elements of a really successful brand. Although a lot of people, whenever you think brand or branding, you think of the colors, the fonts, the logos, all of the photography, which is also uber important. And, a lot of what we do for female, but it has to start there, because if you're just kind of going off of, a shape or a color that you like, it really doesn't have the depth that it needs to sustain longevity in the marketplace. So whenever you're thinking about branding, I would say there are obviously a lot of things to consider, but I like to go kind of behind the curtain first. That mission, the vision, the core values, your target customer, what do they really care about? Like really thinking of those kind of things first, and then creating the visuals that match that are going to be so much easier.
That leads me to my next question, because sometimes, well, first I must say that many like makers that I know, they start like, okay, I'm gonna create my branding. They're gonna start with the logo and the name,
Yeah,
and trying fonts and colors and color palettes and all of that. But what you say, and sometimes for us, is like not important to think about the mission, the vision, the values, because sometimes you don't show that in your products or in your website. You don't show a lot of things that are behind the scenes that make your like business powerful. So sometimes it's like we leave that behind and we don't make it as important as you're like putting it right now.
Yeah.
So I think that's why a lot of people are lacking on powerful brands. And also you can see like many businesses with the same like branding, very similar because of that.
Yeah.
So if we build the values, mission, and all of that first, how do you ensure that your brand's visuals identity will align with the personality?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, I think, we're in such a privileged world today. There's so much access to being able to do things and create things on your own. But I think as you're really looking to build it, you really have to say, like, what is it that I am trying to build here? And what's like, and who is it for, and what do they want to what is going to connect with them at the end of the day. So if these these creative aspects and things are really what your specialty is, then that's fabulous. And you can use different platforms like Canva to create, these different visual aspects and identities. And if you need more of a guide, I mean, there are so many out there. We have branding templates that you can just plug and play with. But there's so many out there that you can really kind of play with and go off of. The things that I like to steer people away from, though, especially if you're doing it on your own, is um, making a brand that's trendy, because that's not going to have longevity. I think we've seen so many, different trends go on with branding, whether that's super minimal or if it's uh, maximalist, or maybe it's very colorful or script font or different things like that. That a lot of people, whenever you go and they're making their own brands, they're making them from templates that other people are using, and they're not being true to their own identity. Maybe because you just don't, it's not your specialty to create. So I would say going and not just making something that's trending, or that everybody else is doing off of just a logo template or something like that, because your consumers can really feel that, and they're going to kind of value your brand at that. So if you have a brand that looks cookie cutter, that looks like you didn't put a lot of time, energy, and effort, or maybe even money into it, that's okay, but don't anticipate that your consumer on the other end is going to attribute your brand with being very, very high value, because it doesn't look like you're putting high value into, you know, the different aspects to what your brand is. So if that is your specialty, I say outsource. That is a very valuable thing to outsource, because it is how your consumers are going to view your brand at the end of the day. If it's a messy brand that doesn't make a lot of sense, it doesn't attribute to anything, and that's how your consumers are going to view you. So then it does tie into sales, it ties into your marketing, it ties into every single aspect of everything that you're doing. So it is an important aspect of your foundation.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense because once you start having name in the market, people are going to remember you by your name, by your logo, how your brand is looking, right? So I think that's why branding is so important, because that's how people is going to remember you, not only with your products, but also with the branding of them, right?
Yeah.
So with this, I want to ask, what are the main visuals or material that people should build for their brands? Just do you have a recommendation, a general content that they can make?
Yeah, you definitely want to build a logo, right? So you can have a primary and a secondary logo, so different usages in different ways. So this can be, a logo that is horizontal and one that's more vertical, or it can be one that's more compact that can fit in circles versus one that is a little bit more abstract. So different usages for your brand in terms of your logos. Having them in all of the different color variations is really important, so that you have different ways to use them when needed. Picking out your color palette is going to be really important. Your primary messaging, your taglines are another important aspect of your messaging. Your font selection. So this is typically a primary font, like a header, a secondary, like a subheader, a body font, and an accent font. So from those. And then we really like to create mood boards for all of the other like visuals. So if you're creating like a mood board, like what type of photography or what type of like mood is your brand going to give off? So whether this be maybe it's light, clean, airy. So all of the visuals and all the photography that you use into maybe all of your social accounts or on your website or in any materials that you make, maybe it's that you don't use faces, or maybe it's that there's a lot of clean space around it, or that you use black and white images, or that it's really colorful and bright and out there. And that is like the feeling of the brand. Really kind of laying out all of those aspects are really important too, and seeing how they match with the fonts that you've chosen, the other colors that you've chosen, your logos and things like that. Would be how I kind of think that.
Yeah, I think if you do that at the very beginning, everything is gonna be more like going with the flow because you're gonna have the idea of what you want. I think so.
Yeah, and you can
So
pull from it, right? So then you have that. So then whenever you go, maybe you're gonna go create your website on your own, you have that to pull from.
yeah,
You have you're gonna create, like you're gonna be a part of an event and they need flyers. Like you have that to pull from, and you're not just starting from scratch or creating something of how you feel that day versus tomorrow. So then all of a sudden, all of your branding across the board feels chaotic, just because you're building it by how you feel that day. Yeah, I say that's my. Mhm.
yes, and of course, we have listeners that are already um in a long term with their businesses or more established businesses. And of course, they probably started their branding without any experience and without knowing what to do. So when should they consider a rebranding of their business?
Yeah, I think consider rebranding if you are at any point when you're feeling like you're not in love with the brand, right? If you're not in love with your brand and of what you're putting out to the world, people are just going to feel it. So if you are like falling out of love with your brand, you're feeling like it's kind of becoming stale and stagnant, and like it isn't matching up with your competitors, it's not matching up with what's in the marketplace today. I'd say prioritize it. Prioritize updating it and changing it and evolving it. Because that is going to show your customers at the end of the day that you care about the image that you're putting out into the world. And that is really, really important. So I would say if you're starting to feel that way, you are like maybe listening to this and be like, yeah, I'm kind of not in love with my branding and I'm just like dealing. I would say it's probably time to look at how you can evolve, upgrade, and fall in love with it again.
Yeah, I think that happens very often. And probably a lot of people don't do it because they are afraid of losing customers. And like, what tips can you give those people? Like, are they gonna lose customers, or how the rebranding should go so they don't hurt the brand?
Well, I think that it really depends on like what type of rebrand you're considering. If you're thinking of like a full 180 rebrand, completely renaming your company, like all of those, I think there are definitely some like steps that you're going to want to take in terms of customer communication and making sure there's no confusion at the end of the day. You're giving it an update and you're giving it like a refresh. I think there should be no fear with losing your customers because they're going to feel that you're putting more effort into speaking to them. But talk to them. Like, don't just do things without talking to your customers. I see so many brands make this mistake that they are just doing things without actually like communicating with the people that are giving or making their business at the end of the day, which is the customers and the consumers. So making sure that you're having that communication, that you're sharing, that you're asking them questions too of what they want to see, what they're looking for, and to where they can see that their voices are heard, and maybe your rebrand or the refresh that you're doing in your business or your brand. I think there's no downside to that at all.
Yeah, and I think that if you're not loving your brand right now, people are gonna tell, right? So I think that's like the main focus to for you to enjoy what you're doing with your business.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about it, just do it.
Yeah.
I think that's really
Yeah.
important to feel comfortable as well.
Yeah, and that, like reaching out to, right? Because maybe you're at the point where like, okay, maybe you did it on your own, but maybe your business is starting to do really well and you've set aside some money to, put into that refresh to make it even better and even stronger. Like now is the time to do your research, find the agency or the company or the freelancer that really is doing work that you do love and that you would like to see refreshed into your own brand, and start that conversation. It all just starts with like one step towards it, and then everything else will fall into line.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm a very I love for to recommend outsourcing.
Mm-hmm.
Even more when you're doing everything for your business.
Yeah.
You're not gonna do well with everything. So just outsourcing and looking for resources or agencies like yours um, bring such a great benefit, and it can be a game changer.
Mhm.
So I know that you guys also help and are like experts in building communities.
Mhm.
So what are the benefits of building a community and also being part of one for you?
Yeah, well, I think like community is everything, especially in the world that we live in today. That um, everybody is looking for people to connect with, to share values with, to share the things that they have common interest in, um, or common like um issues in, right? So that we're all dealing with something at the end of the day. So being able to bring people together is such a powerful thing, because community is really what makes the world go round. So if you're able
Yeah.
to build a community around your business, around the thing that your business solves, or around the thing that your business is like working towards, there is so much power in that. And I think we're seeing it all like online right now. The businesses that are really thriving are the ones that are building communities online and offline. So being able to really like harness a community, not just an audience of people that are watching what you're doing, but to where they feel like they are getting involved, that they're part of the process, that they're a part of your learning, that they're contributing. There's something really, really powerful within that. And there's so many different ways that you can form communities. So for us, we have a social club where we host events all of the time to bring our community together, to learn, to grow, to connect. So they are building really strong businesses. It's not just for us that we're building, that we have our agency and that we're helping only certain people do the projects that we do. It's about how can we like share that knowledge and have our whole community come together and get to like share and connect and be a part of that and grow their businesses at the same time. But this doesn't have to be the way that you grow your community. This can be growing your community on social media. This can be growing your community on Instagram or on TikTok or everywhere else online, or going and being a part of communities that are filled with your target audience and really contributing there in meaningful ways, to where it grows the awareness for what you're doing too and authentically connects you to remember that mission and that purpose of the world that you're trying to create, which is that vision that you have. So if you can connect with people in deep ways where they feel like they see you, that you see them, that you hear them, and they hear you, you're going to feel like you're not so in it alone, right? You're not going to feel like you're just sitting there behind your computer, like building or doing the thing and nobody's listening to you. Get out from like your own little world and build something with other people. And that's where it's not just about you anymore. It's about the bigger picture, and that's what people care about.
I love that. And of course, community, also bringing that to your business can also give you different sources of income, and that can be good, like sharing your experience, like you say. And also for makers and business owners, being part of something else is so important, because sometimes they feel alone and without any support. So without if you want to do that and you want to build that with your audience, and instead of building an audience, build a community, can be such a good way to grow your business as well. And I want to ask, because you guys do this a lot, what initiatives have you implemented to encourage community participation?
Mm. For us, what's really been powerful is in-person connections and in-person events. So I think for a lot of our community, everybody feels like they're on this like solo journey, that they're on Zoom all day long, that they're just kind of not able to like spread their wings and fly. And so for us, having in-person events has been really, really powerful for us and for our community. Our community doesn't love being online as much because they're online doing their business in that way all day long. Our community thrives on in-person connections. So right now we're building several ways where the community can really create those spaces on their own, outside of just the way that we put our events together. But we've seen so many communities really thrive in that way. So we're looking to maybe to learn from that. But that's what's really worked for us, and creating spaces that are authentic, that feel like that people really care about them, and that they feel like they're getting value by being there has been the most important thing.
I love that. And I think for our audience, it's the same, because they're like pretty much working 24/7 in making products and making their business grow and all of that. And having like in-person things. I know that many makers love to be in markets and attending farmers markets and all of that, because they can connect with their customer, and they can now put a face on the sale number 100, for example. So I think that is very valuable, and building a community, like you say, it's so important, and also it brings value to you as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important.
Yeah.
So I know that community and having a very good engagement with our audience is so important, because it is going to help us with the word of mouth. And I think that's a marketing strategy that it never goes old.
Absolutely.
What strategies do you use to turn customers into brand advocates? Like, what tips can you give us for that?
I think like it's under promise and over deliver. Like, wow your customers with what it is that you offer or the product that you serve with. I see so many people that they, get the customer or they get the sale, and they're not celebrating that, or they're not really relishing in that and really paying attention to the customers that are right in front of their faces. You're looking beyond, you're just looking at like what's next. And like, if you can come and you can hone in and make that customer journey and that customer experience the best that it possibly can be, to where they feel like they were supported, cared for, and that you did something extra that wasn't promised, That's where you can create raving fans at the end of the day, to where not only did you deliver on what you did promise them, but you went above and beyond. That's where people are going to look twice, that they're going to say, wait a minute, I feel like this brand actually cares about my business and me like spending my hard-earned money with them, to where I know that they care about me and they care about the result. So they want to come back and they want to tell all of their friends. So create an experience that makes them tell all of their friends. And if you can create that, then you've created a whole marketing team, created a whole sales team that you don't even have to pay for, because you thought about it right now, not after that.
Yeah, I love that. Those little details that we do are going to be a game changer.
Yeah.
And of course, people are going to enjoy the extra things always. Yeah, and if they're free and they give you like that extra jump uh, of happiness during the day, that is going to be a win. So, just to end, I know that Forward Female offers a lot of services and a lot of things for business owners. So, how can you help product-based businesses with what you do?
Yeah. So if you're looking for help, I mean, we are your girls. We do everything from 360, like business, like structuring, business strategy, marketing strategy, marketing audits, building your websites, developing them. Right now, we're developing a few apps, and launching it and scaling it. That's what we're really specialists at. And so I would say if you're looking for that kind of support to outsource, like schedule a call with us so we can definitely help you there. But if you're really at the baseline level of like, you're like, wait a second, I cannot even think about hiring an agency right now, that's totally okay too. We have a whole like template shop of like things like under $15 that you can utilize to incorporate into your businesses and kind of get you on that path. And if not, we have a whole free community. We're not just sharing resources. We have over, I think, 800 women like sharing resources in that community to help you build and grow your community and make connections where maybe you can support one another too.
That's amazing. I want to be a part of it as well.
Please, come on board.
So, Priscilla, what's your final advice for our listeners?
Yeah. My advice is dream big, don't doubt yourself, and keep going. Keep moving forward, because if you just keep moving forward every single day, staying curious, you'll be shocked at the places that you can go.
I love that. So I think this episode was so helpful. And I know many makers are going to be just taking notes and everything. And I love that you share also that if they are not ready to hire an agency, they can just go there and look for your resources. And they're very affordable, which is great. So the last thing is how they can find you, you and Forward Female.
Yeah, pretty much you can find Forward Female at Forward Female anywhere. And so just find us there. And you can find me through there typically. Is going to be the best way.
Awesome. And I am curious because I saw the picture behind you. Are you related to Elvis?
You know, that is a secret I will never tell.
I love that. So thank you everyone for being here. There you have my conversation with Priscilla. Go check out Priscilla and her business in the link of the show notes. I hope you find this episode helpful. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a follow. And if you like the episode, please share it with your friends. Thank you for being here, and until next time.
Thank you. Bye.
And if you're interested to learn more about Inventora and how can we help you keep track of your customers' information, visit inventora.com.